Hello, I'm Christopher Williams from Read Comics, They're Bad For You. Or on my BitChute channel, Comic Freak. Today we're going to be talking about the Star Wars theory from Mike of Red Letter Media. He proposes that time travel is going to be an intricate part of Star Wars Episode 9. He says the movie is going to go full Avengers Endgame, meaning that they're going to use this movie to retcon The Last Jedi. Now, if they can only retcon The Force Awakens and make both movies, including The Rise of Skywalker, never exist, I would be all for it. But no. J.J. Abrams, as I understand it, is going to use this. He's going to use the time travel gimmick to make The Rise of Skywalker fall in line with the premise he first made in The Force Awakens. He probably thought that when Rian Johnson made The Last Jedi, that it would at least on some level make sense. But since Rian Johnson screwed it up, he's going back and make sure this movie lines up with his original vision. JJ, it's not going to fix the problem that The Last Jedi still exists. But I guess with this you hope that future Star Wars movies will be able to be in a far better position. I have my doubts. I think this is going to piss off the fans even more. I mean, I can almost hear Kathleen Kennedy in the back rubbing her hands together saying, "Yes, yes, my apprentice, this will bring the fans back. They'll surely enjoy what we've done and forgive us for The Last Jedi so that we can keep milking them for money. We'll just give them even more of what we had in The Force Awakens, more callbacks to the 80s, to the original series." Well, Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams, no, that's not going to work. Rehashing plot lines from Back to the Future and every other time travel movie, including Endgame, is not going to work. Even if you've established some form of time travel in Star Wars Rebels, at least that's why I understand what Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers said about this. He even likes this series. I never watched it. Even if you've established time travel or something similar to it, the fans are not going to like it. As I've heard, the original writer of the article who was writing about this, Drew Tyler from Bounding Into Comics, who's writing about what Mike from Red Letter Media, Drew says it basically predicts a horrible time travel story, and I have to agree. Just because you've established time travel in Star Wars does not mean you have to use it. As I said before, you're rehashing every plot line from every time travel story either. Does that mean if Rey does something wrong, characters are going to be erased like in Back to the Future? Or maybe we'll have Bill and Ted show up on their telephone box, as well as Bill Murray's head will somehow be inside an alarm clock. And of course the Terminator will show up and probably put us all out of our misery. Now, all I can say is they should not have put time travel into Star Wars. Just because it is science fantasy does not mean you put every science fiction or fantasy element into it. And like what this picture says, like what Luke says here, they killed off the toxic Jedi patriarchy. Yeah, and they gave us Rey, who apparently isn't so Mary Sue enough that she can save this franchise, because it's going down in flames. Apparently, what makes people think this theory could possibly be true is because in the trailer, apparently with Rey and her friends walking to the remains of the fallen Death Star, with Rey hauling around a big burlap sack filled with something. Apparently Mike thinks that the Death Star's core has some supreme power and that the sack has something to do with it. The sack could be filled with Rey's dirty laundry, Mike. And it's still a bad plot point to include time travel. If they include time travel, why don't we have both Rey and the Emperor with his dreadful little laugh get eaten by the CGI shark from Back to the Future 2? Yeah, I think we should include more giant, badly animated sharks in our movies, don't you? I mean, we can hear the Emperor acting like Michael J. Fox and screaming, "Ah!" and then getting eaten by the shark. Only this time it's actually for real, because that is probably also another power that Rey has. But I digress. We should not have time travel in Star Wars. You're just picking things at random, hoping that you can please the fan base. Well, we're not going to listen to you. A lot of people have given up on having anything to do with Star Wars now, and you can only hope the normies are not going to wake up and see how bad this movie is. And I have my doubts that you're going to get your way. And we are also tired with you continually saying you're either with me or you're a fascist Nazi. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi here says, only the Sith deal in absolutes. Well, I have to say that that is true. You're all absolutely out of your minds. Now, let's go through some of the other points Mike made in his theory. How he talked about how, well, the voiceover of Luke Skywalker says that 1,000 generations live in Rey. And this somehow points to time travel being a factor in Star Wars 9. The other point being that, well, he says it's a major point, and I guess some people do feel this is, the circle deflector dish that was knocked off in Return of the Jedi is back on the Millennium Falcon, instead of the curved one that replaced it. This could point to time travel, or it could be that Disney decided to wise up and give the fans something that they would really like to see a callback to. You know how The Force Awakens was basically nothing but callbacks and a rehashing of A New Hope. Which comes to my next point, the rise of Skywalker somehow ties directly into A New Hope. Probably that we're going to learn that Luke is Rey's father because he probably had sex with some girl before he left the planet. You know, before he blew up the original Death Star. So, is there any chance we'll see Rey end up like Tony Stark here, about her being on her back, reminiscing about how she's probably going to die somewhere in space on a derelict ship, before she's rescued by Captain Marvel? Oh, wait. Rey is Captain Marvel because she's one of those Mary Sue girls who can do anything and don't need no man. And I have to say that she probably does need a man, someone to save her now from the fans and the bad writing that Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams want to push down all our throats. But it ain't happening, baby. You're stuck with what you got. You ain't perfect, and how does that feel? Because you're most certainly not in a perfect movie. Most likely, Star Wars Episode 9 is going to be a complete train wreck and a total disaster to watch, and will probably kill the franchise for good. Time travel, honestly. Now, I can't even really hope if this is going to be a good movie. I have to agree with Jeremy on this. I hope it's a disaster, because they've introduced things that should, in my opinion, should not be there. Now, if you like this video, subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed. If you're watching my videos but you have not subscribed to me, please subscribe to me at YouTube, at Read Comics They're Bad For You, and at BitChute, at Comic Freak. Now, hit that bell for notifications, hit that like button, and leave some comments down below. And remember, keep checking back in future videos for more information on my own upcoming independent comic book, Scumdogs. I'm Chris Williams, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another video or review.